Here we go.
Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Fresh Friday. This is an unusual time for me and you, isn't it, Liam?
Yeah, like we'd normally be drinking whiskey or cocktails or something like that, but 10 o'clock in the morning, now I understand how our US guests feel. They're like, we can't be drinking this early, so... Oh, he's on it!
Right.
Oh, no!
Got a bit of homebrew. We'll come on to that in a minute. Yeah, so whoever is going to join us today, whoever joins us, we will be so thankful because it is such an early time for everyone to get fresh, ourselves included. But we have got a couple of people joining us, so welcome to the stream. If you've never joined us before, this is the place, or it's soon to be not the place, because this is our final episode, ladies and gentlemen. You heard this first. Sad times, episode 10. But every single week, we have been discussing the world of brand, marketing, and all things digital. And the whole purpose of this show is to kind of spread knowledge, spread awareness from thought leaders across the world. And by thought leaders, we don't mean Liam and myself. We mean actual people who've got a lot of expertise in areas that we don't. So we've got guests on every single week. And this time we have got an amazing guest. We've got an amazing guest. You might know as Ashley Talks. Ashley Durdenok. I hope that's how you pronounce her name. She will correct me if I'm incorrect. Who we've got on today. Now, I came across Ashley some time ago now, just after we'd visited China. And that's what we're going to discuss. Her specialty is in the Chinese marketing space. And we're going to talk about the future of social, or the future is social. That's what we believe. And there's so much we can talk about. What are you excited about today then, Liam?
Just... Like, we always look to like China as like a crystal ball into what the future holds for the West. So,
yeah,
you know, like we look at like the likes of like TikTok or Douyin, as it's known over there, like as it's taken China by storm, and you know we're starting to see that over here. So it's kind of like I want to know like what's hot right now, like what's going down so well in China right now. And hopefully it will give some of our viewers a little bit of insight into, oh, this is what I should be doing, because might not be now, it might not be next year, but 3 years, you know, it might be the thing that we're doing. It's the only thing that we're doing. So I think if we can get that, I think that would be super fresh. I'd be happy.
I think we're gonna. I think we're gonna get that and more. I'm gonna put it out there. So if you're a marketing, if you're in charge of a company, if you're an entrepreneur, like all these tips that we're going to run through today will prepare you for the next generation of social media. Liam and I have our thoughts on this, but it's great to hear Ashley's today, and that's what we're going to do. So Liam, I know you're going to once again disappear. But you're not going anywhere. You're still going to be in chat. Is that right?
I am. So if there's any questions from anyone, let us know in chat. I'll be replying as Fresh Movement. So if you've got any questions, I'll make a note of them and get them over to the guys. And hopefully we'll get some of your questions answered. And yeah, we should be good. So I'm going to cue the special effect.
Oh, I love this one. Well, there we go. Fresh. So this week on Fresh Friday, we have the wonderful Ashley, who is going to be talking about the future of social. That's what we're going to be discussing. Now, just to give you a bit of information on Ashley, she's a thought leader. She is she's really energetic, and this is one of the main reasons we wanted her on Fresh Friday, is the way she tells her stories. She's also she runs a media agency, social media marketing agency in China, which helps companies adapt to the Chinese market. And she's also a best-selling author. There's loads of stuff Ashley's done. She's an amazing ambassador for Chinese marketing. And we are delighted to have her on the show. So let's bring her in. Ashley, welcome to Fresh Friday.
So phenomenal to be with you guys. Gareth, Liam, thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, the pleasure is all ours, I must admit. And what a beautiful outfit you've got on. Is that I know you've got
Mexican,
a Russian...
handmade.
Mexican.
A lot of people
See,
a lot of people think, yeah, a lot of people think it's Russian. Whenever I wear my outfits from Singapore, they're like, oh, is it a traditional Russian pattern? Or whenever I put on something from Mexico, you know, from the hills and mountains where women are hand making stuff, they're like, oh, is it Russian as well? Unfortunately not.
It's got that look about it. Obviously, you know, just to let the viewers know, you are Russian heritage, is that correct? You're born in Russia?
I was born in Russia. I was born in Russia, in the Russian Far East. So close to China, 2 hours drive from mainland China border. So I'm Asian. And I moved to China when I was 17.
That is, you know, like, obviously we live in the UK. We were just chatting about that. And we live in such a small little island. And you never think that Russia's so close to China. Like, you just forget about that in the West. You really do. But it makes perfect sense. I never really thought about it like that. So that's my geography lesson done for today. Ashley, so welcome to the show. Obviously, we've had a brief introduction. Are you drinking a beverage right now? We usually ask our guests, what is your beverage of choice, and what are you drinking? Oh, beautiful mug.
Green tea. It's also from Mexico. Today, I'm all about advertising Mexico, it seems. But yes, it's green tea. Always green tea. In China, we have 2 drinks that we drink all the time. We sip it throughout the day. One is hot water. In fact, if you go to the doctor, doesn't matter what's wrong with you, you've got a rash on your skin, or you're not feeling well, you've got a headache, whatever's wrong with you, they're going to tell you, eat less spicy food and drink more hot water. So hot water heals. And the second one is green tea, of course. And for me, I just drink hot water and green tea.
That would explain the complexion you've got, Ashley. It's glowing, I must admit. On that note, I have something that was green tea once a few weeks ago. It was green tea. Did you drink kombucha?
Was it? Ooh.
Kombucha?
Ooh.
This is homebrew, so it's probably got a touch of alcohol in it. I'm not going to lie, because even when you buy the packaged kombucha, it says there's 0.1%. It kind of smells and tastes a little bit like cider, but, you know, cheers.
This Friday started earlier. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. But yeah, I've started making that with green tea. So I'm a big fan of the green tea, I must admit. Okay, so yeah, thank you for joining. Everybody who's watching, I did a brief introduction to yourself there, Ashley, and could you just explain to the people watching exactly who you are? And I suppose for me, as a personal question, why do you do what you do? It's a 2-part question.
Absolutely. So, as mentioned just now briefly, I was born in Asia, in the Russian Far East. And since early on, we had a lot of Koreans, we had a lot of Japanese, we had a lot of Chinese also basically in my hometown. And it was always, I mean, I was fascinated kind of by the East, but I was never a fan of it. You know, a lot of people that went to China early on, they were fans of Kung Fu or dragons or noodles or whatever. So I was aware. I went, my first overseas trip was the trip to Japan and Korea, and that was a completely different world. It's like going to the future. That time, if you wanted to see the future, you didn't go to China. You would go to a place like Japan, and you would see, you know, imagine this from a Soviet Union. You would see the escalators, or the moving stairs, or the doors, electronic doors, like opening those automatic doors. It was literally a spaceship. So that was Asia for me. But I came to China at 17, and the reason was not that I wanted to see the future. The reason was, guess, was it money or love? There's only 2 reasons to move across the world: money or love. I was 17.
I'm gonna go,
Gareth.
I'm gonna go love. I'm gonna go love at that
You're
stage.
Right. Absolutely right. So a boyfriend of mine at the time, he studied Chinese, and that would be the place where we could go together. So basically, I moved to China, and I moved to the biggest city in the world, 34 million people. The city is in central China and called Chongqing. And yeah, from there on, learning Chinese, I went to university in China. I studied business and economics together with Chinese students. Yes, I did linear algebra and statistics in Chinese with Chinese students. That was really cool.
Wow.
And and then I basically saw the rise of China Digital from being inside of China. So when I arrived in mainland, we still had Google. We still, I mean, Facebook later on towards 2008, 2009 was also popular in China. And then the two kind of digital ecosystems started decoupling and becoming completely different animals. So that's when we saw new kind of copycats of Western social platforms appearing in China, but very quickly they transformed themselves in completely different animals. So I was fascinated by this change to see, for example, people that never saw a computer or laptop in their life suddenly getting on those smartphones, and every single person had a smartphone and that was their life. It was fascinating. So I decided, and that was a choice because I felt that the future is in China. The future, first of all, is in Asia. This is the story of our generation, the rise of Asian middle class. And of course, the speed with which China was going towards that future was absolutely fascinating and unmatched. So I decided that my professional and personal life would be linked with China, and it was a great bet, and I don't regret a single moment. I relocated to Hong Kong about 10 years ago, but my business is still connected with mainland China. 9 years ago, I opened an agency called Eloise. In 2016, I opened a second company called Chouzan, which does education and consulting for internal teams. So one company is executing for China, the other one is consulting internal teams how to do better and to educate, basically transfers agency expertise onto them. And yeah, it's been a phenomenal journey. And a couple of years back, I started also sharing that knowledge in a form of social media thought leadership, talks, writing for publications, writing books, etc.
So much information there, Ashley. And being dazzled by somewhere, born out of love is an amazing story. And I think the fact that you went there so long ago, like you said, was it the then Soviet Union, would you say?
No. Well, I'm not that old. I went there when I was 17. I was born in the last years of Soviet Union. Yes. So I was born in
The
88.
last years.
And basically, I would say Russian Far East. It took a while before it modernized towards whatever is modern world is. So essentially, coming out when I was a child, when I was small, and I visited overseas for the first time ever when I was like 6 or 7. That was out of the Soviet Union. But yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Non-existing.
Yeah. Not to make you, not to predate you there, Ashley. I do apologize. But yeah, to come from that that environment into what would have been the future in your in your eyes, and probably in the world at that stage, like it would have been such a transformative experience. I mean, I recently went to China. I mean, recently within the last 2 years, I went over, and coming from the UK in 2019, I think it was 2019. You kind of think you're living in the future. You think the UK is very forward thinking, and you go there and you're instantly shocked to see. And I know you made the comment that it's Asia, but we just went to China, and it is a completely different landscape. Like there is so much going on. It is a culture shock, but also more I suppose noticeably a technology shock. Like I was not prepared for that, and we'll discuss that in a short minute. But I share that kind of vision, but I can imagine yours was like 10 times what I experienced. Going there at such a young age as well.
Well, we've got a couple of when I got to China back then, it wasn't technology that was shocking. It was mostly culture. So that's a very important piece of information for people, because the technology bit really happened in the past, I would say 15 years. Before that, it was the sheer scale and the passion and the entrepreneurship, the fact that everybody was hustling and everybody was on this road to upward mobility, which was absolutely fascinating. It was the energy and dynamism and the fact that everybody was hustling and working and everybody was an entrepreneur. But right now, in the past 15 years, it's literally the switch is on. It's all about technology. And every time you visit China, give it half a year, give it 2 years, give it half like 1.5 years, it's the landscape is going to be shifting so much faster.
Yeah, and that culture that you just mentioned there, that is evident, and it's so good you brought that up because it's right. There is a Chinese or Asian even kind of drive to always do better, always improve, always kind of adapt and move on to the. It's really kind of forward thinking, and that is apparent. I suppose what happens in China and what I've seen is once they get the concept of something, they make it uniquely Chinese. They kind of go, right, how can we magnify this? How can we make it better, bigger, better for ourselves? And it's amazing. It's amazing to see. We've got a few people in chat, so I do apologize if I'm looking down. My phone seems to be working better than my actual stream on my PC at the minute. So I've got a few people in. So Chris Smith, welcome to the stream. Dan Fernandez, welcome to the stream. Jake, Adam Shuttleworth, my brother, is in stream. That's bizarre. I never thought he'd jump in. Lee Cosby, welcome to the stream. So there's a couple of people joining us. Guys, remember, get your questions in. We're going to be joined by Ashley for the next 30, 40 minutes or so. So yeah, it's your chance to get involved. So any questions, please get in. Ashley, so let's delve into a bit of this because obviously we're here to talk about my title. I know this isn't your title. This is something I created. The future is social. Now, this is something that us at Fresh Movement believe in. And this is something that we definitely saw evidence of with our experience working with teams in China, but also when we were over in China. And I think the thing for me is, if you could explain the concept to everyone watching, because most people who watch our channel will be from the UK or maybe America, definitely the West. Could you explain the concept of what I'm trying to get at? Like, how different is the social media landscape in China to what you see in the West?
It's completely different. So imagine a parallel universe. And in that parallel universe, it's literally probably for people that remember Blade Runner or people that recently watched Ready Player One, right? So imagine that kind of futuristic, but not too far away in the future, kind of, parallel universe where everybody is gaming, where everybody is on social, where everybody has an avatar, where everybody has basically this device, which is somehow an integration of tons and tons of apps and devices, and it's all usable, and your digital identity is everything, and blah, blah, blah. So all that, imagine this, and now step a couple of years back, like 5 to 10 years back, and this is where China is right now. When the rest of the world is right now, to be honest, is still operating at a very basic level of integrating technology, integrating social media, integrating communication in their life. There are different reasons for that. The first thing is access to technology. Not every country, not every person, has access to technology, computer, phone, internet, etc. Secondly, it's of course very cultural. Culturally, we do not feel comfortable disclosing some information. We think somebody's watching us and people are going to be using this information against us, and basically the end of the world is coming and robots are here to basically bring this apocalypse. Yes, exactly that phase. Number three, of course, we have.
I look like the emoji. Sorry.
Absolutely. The other one is, of course, the fact that we've got privacy security laws in Europe in particular, in the US also a lot of vocal activists talking about that, a very different attitude when it comes to privacy of data, a lot more understanding of what data can do and how it can harm you. All that is not really what's happening in mainland China. In mainland China, when you give your data to an app, you expect and you get a lot of service for it. So the bargain, a lot of people believe, though that understand what data is really all about, they believe that the bargain is fair. But in the West, when we give data away to an app, they're just haunting us with useless ads and we feel cheated. That is why we're trying to protect us. Not only that, but a lot of other reasons. But in China, for example, there are super apps, a lot of them, but one of the most notorious ones is WeChat. It is essentially an app with all other apps in it. You can donate to charity through this app. You can speak with your grandmother. You can get married. You can get a divorce through this app. You can board a plane. I'm not kidding you. You can board a plane. For example, you enter an airport, and because you upload your identity, your real identity onto WeChat, you connect it with your face. So the moment you walk into the airport, it scans your face, so it knows who you are, and it tells you, oh, Ashley, your flight is in, I don't know, the 1 hour and 40 minutes, and your gate is 27. So I straight go there. I don't need to print out any boarding passes and 25 papers. This system, activated through WeChat, is leading me and guiding me there. I can pay my utility bills. I can track COVID-19 cases. In fact, in China, you right now, in literally end of July 2020, you cannot enter a single restaurant without WeChat, because WeChat has a health code which tracks your activity for the past half a year. And this code tells you whether you were in contact or potential contact with people with COVID, which puts you into the red zone, green zone, or yellow zone on the potential, threat list. And if you don't have your health code ready, either via Alipay or WeChat Pay, you're not able to, enter and, socialize with other people. It's very, very, very integrated into people's lives. And this is what China has uniquely built. It's not building apps, it's building ecosystems. The same thing when it comes to social media, the same thing when it comes to e-commerce platforms. They are building ecosystems. And then they come together as a few apps kind of come together, social media, e-commerce, they come together and they build a bigger ecosystem, serving a certain purpose. And for businesses, you essentially come and you plug into this ecosystem, and you're using their data, their cloud, their retail, for instance, as a service, in order to promote your products and services, in order to sell, in order to get to know your customers better. So you don't need to, as a company, invent everything by yourself, do everything by yourself. You just come in and plug into those bigger chunks of data, insights, etc. And people, as I mentioned, they don't need to wait and queue in order to register a newborn baby. If they want to, again, go to the doctor, they, again, don't need to queue. They take a picture of what's wrong with them. They make an appointment online. And you cannot even enter some hospitals, for example, in Guangdong. There is a new kind of model hospital. You cannot go in, you cannot walk in. You need to make an appointment via WeChat. You need to take a picture of what's wrong with you. And as they look at what's wrong with you, they say, okay, this is the doctor that you need to visit. And as you walk into this guy, he uses AI algorithms to diagnose you. And it's very fast, very efficient. And the doctor just says yes or no to the diagnosis and to the proposed treatment. So on the one hand, you're training AI. On the other hand, you're becoming more efficient. And me as a user, I'm getting a great experience. So would you give up a little bit of your privacy, right, in order to get that experience? Most of the people in China say yes. So to your question, I know it's a long answer, but to your question, what is the difference between, a social future in China? What is the difference between social media and, what's happening in China and the West? China is a parallel universe, which is definitely a couple of years ahead. And this kind of speed with which China is developing is only going to keep picking up.
Oh, yeah. Wow. There was some things there that you said which I was aware of. There were some things that I wasn't aware of, but I'm pretty certain that most of the viewers weren't aware of a lot of it. So let's just talk about a couple of bits there that you talked about. And I suppose, to be the cynical Westerner, the bit that I suppose I want to kind of clarify is the bit where you mentioned data. Like, it's an interesting point you make. Like, China and the West, the East, should I say, have kind of made peace with the fact that data is it's already out there, to use a better phrase, and they've kind of realized that is it's a bargaining chip. Where when I look at what's happening in the West, people are just stealing data, and we have no right in saying how much that's worth, what we should get in return. So it's no surprise that most people within my society, Western society, are kind of a little bit like, I want, where is my data? We don't see it. It's not tangible. But to flip it on its head in this parallel universe where everyone's all in. They've like all cards in, data's everywhere. We know it is, but let's get our piece of the pie. Like that makes so much sense to me. So much sense. And it's one of them trade-offs. You know, it is a trade-off. But for yourself, is this right or wrong, or is this just a different way almost of doing it? Can you see elements of that coming over to the West?
Well, it depends on, I definitely see elements of that coming to the rest of the world. And when it comes to the West, it just means, what do you define by the West? If it's Europe, if it's the US, then probably not in the near future, just because there's such a big pushback and people are honestly not ready. But when it comes to Southeast Asia, when it comes to Latin, let's say America, when it comes to Africa, I think these nations and the people might be more receptive towards it. They might have local players, they might have government policies, they might have, again, the right ecosystems built, including not only local ecosystems, but also ecosystems built by Chinese providers and Chinese companies that would essentially move them towards that future. So in 20 years from now, I think that we're going to have, on the balance, a lot more people being part of this new future than those that are trying to, kind of stay on, out of it. And exactly to what you said, we can like it, we can dislike it, we can totally hate it and be apocalyptic about it, but the train has already departed. And if we are on the train, if we are a part of this discussion, then we can steer the train somewhere. But if we're standing on the platform and we are unhappy about it, then somebody else is going to make all the shots. And I love this book by Kai-Fu Lee, which is AI Superpowers, that he published last year. In this book, he talks about AI and essentially what is AI in simple terms, the collection of data, and then you analyze it and you make use of it. So talking about data and AI, he compared it to electricity. So when electricity came into being, it was just a lightning in the jar. So that's exactly what AI was for 30 years. People were walking around university to university with a lightning in the jar. The same with AI. 40, 50 years ago, it was this concept and all computers like battling some chess players, and it was all cool. But then what happened with electricity was that we started implementing it, and suddenly we could power a school, a plant, a hospital. We could invent new things. We could start flying, etc., etc. And that revolutionized every continent, every industry, and every single household. So AI is exactly like electricity. You can like it, you can hate it. And back in the day, there were a lot of people super scared of electricity. There were some countries literally saying, we don't want electricity because it's evil. It's coming from, from a very dark future. We definitely don't want to be part of it. So how did they pay for it? They did not have industrialization. It came much later. They were, paying heavy price later on because they were so behind. So right now it's the same with AI. China is not just looking at the lightning in the jar. They are taking it and they're implementing it, and they're implementing it massively. For example, right now we see on the streets of Shanghai, and I am talking about late July 2020. On the streets of Shanghai, we have self-driving Didi cars. Didi is like Uber. And they are riding in Shanghai, thousands of them right now. So I can get myself a Didi, and whoever arrives to pick me up can be a human being, or it can be a fully automated car. And it looks absolutely amazing. It's basically a car, and on top of it, it has this little, like a siren. And that little siren constantly scans.
Wait. Actually, let's stop there a second. So you can get picked up by a machine.
Yeah, right now. And in the rest of the world, we're still like, oh my God, shall we let them out? I think they did a couple of tests in California or somewhere else. And then it was all, I don't know, it was 20, 30 or 100 cars, but not much. So we are in China in the age of implementation of AI. Mental. And collection of data and implementation and developing and testing. And then the more data you have, the better your algorithms are, the better your prediction, the better basically you can build the future, connect the cities, connect the services for people, obviously sell to people. So there's a lot of bad things that can be done with AI, with data, with all the technology in the world. But also there are a lot of good things that can be done. So technology itself and data itself and the use of data is not evil. That's what I think the message that I want people to understand. It's not evil, it's not bad. But you can use it in the good way, you can use it in a bad way, and it's our decision. Only if we are on that train, we are part of the discussion, we can steer it either in one or the other direction. But right now, some people and countries, they choose not to be part of this discussion at all, or they are very, very conservative, which is fine. But we just need to see that as a whole, the train has departed. The future is going to be digital. There's going to be data. There's going to be, as we see, social everywhere.
Grab me a ticket because I want on the train, Ashley. I 100%. I'm cards in. I want to sit at the front. I want a first class ticket, and I want to go to the moon. That's how far I'm going to say. I honestly
relocate
think
to China. I'm telling you, relocate to
let's
China.
go.
Start a company.
You heard it first here. Fresh Movement's coming to China. We're going. And the reason I'm saying that is not just because that's what I believe in. I just think what you're saying has so much truth in it. Like, if people, you can try and fight this and you can think about the negative, but if we actually all come to terms with the fact that the future is coming and the future is existing amongst us now, we can all have our say in how that's shaped. And the more people that get involved can get their message across. It's so true. I mean, just to talk about a stream I did yesterday on a different channel, we was talking to the inventor of a brilliant device, which is about democratizing technology. So this device, a child can put it together and build their own computer. And that has the same ethos around, let's make things accessible to bring people on this journey quicker, rather than make it something that's so abstract that nobody thinks they've got a say in the matter. And the more I think about this, the more it makes perfect sense. And people like yourself who are spreading the word, and people like Alex who created this device called Kano, creating things. There's another thing as well, just to go off a little bit of a tangent. I listened to a podcast the other day. I think it was Joe Rogan or someone. I think it was Joe Rogan. And he was talking to this gentleman who was explaining about technology in these precious, what we deem as precious communities, which are untouched with technology. And he goes in there, and he himself said he asked the most ridiculous question ever, because he went over to this farmer, this family who literally didn't have electricity until a few months ago, and said, are you happy? Are you happy now we've brought you the internet and this electricity? And the farmer looked at him like he was an idiot and said, of course I am. I've got running water. I've got I can turn my light on, and I can survive the winter without worrying I'm going to die. Of course I'm happy. And the point I'm getting at, I think we get so wrapped up in what we think is traditional and what is natural and what should have been, when really I think what we should be putting our eggs into the basket, that's a terminology, about, we should actually be thinking about what is tomorrow and how can I help shape that into a future that we can all belong in.
Absolutely. And probably another reason why the West gets right now specifically very offended when some innovation or some implementation of those technologies is coming from Asia, is the fact that when somebody disagrees with the way we think, we get very defensive. Maybe it's rooted, like I was listening yesterday to one good friend of mine, and he was absolutely phenomenal. He said maybe it's rooted in Christianity, because we have this unstoppable desire to convert others. Like, we go and we want to convert them. We want everybody agree with us, because we know what's the best. We know what the future is going to look like. We know what is right, what is wrong, and we really want to convert others. And he was just joking, and he's saying, thousands of years ago, China built a wall, not because they wanted to go and convert and invade barbarians, but they just wanted to keep them away. So the way that China and Asia is innovating, they always look at the future. There's never kind of a short term, quick, let's just get it done right now. They build policies for China, for instance, Communist Party. They build policies that will be relevant in 20 or 30 years from now. It's very long game. And in the West, very often we look at something that's happening right now, immediately, and because the future is very scary. And if somebody disagrees with us right now, that's a problem. They are challenging us, and we are very unhappy. So in Asia, it's a lot kind of milder, but it's always a long game. And if somebody disagrees with us, basically, they say it's okay. We're going to build a wall, just like Chinese internet wall, and we're going to do our own thing there. And I think that this is also a little bit of a conflict of cultures and misunderstanding of, it's not the evil intent, and somebody is trying to capture innovations, and right now somebody's trying to, capture all the data and, enslave us all and the whole humanity, because we approach it from the Western side, Western mindset. We believe that they're going to be so powerful and so big that then they're going to turn into us, and they're going to go and convert every single person. And actually, as I mentioned, a lot of my friends in mainland China, they do not believe that this is a big outcome and the big goal. But they're definitely going to do a lot of tech and very cool things in their own country, in their own space. And we can learn a lot from that experiment and that journey. And I believe, as you said, Gareth, that we are all on this journey together as humanity. And it's exciting.
Yeah, that's it. And I think whoever progresses, it's a win for everyone. And I think that's the big thing. To bring it back, I suppose, to like a business landscape, let's say. I know you do an awful lot of thought leadership. You do an awful lot of content, you share, and you give back, essentially. Like that as a kind of strategy, how would you explain the importance of that? Because I'm aware of the importance. Fresh Movement's kind of built on the back of that. For you, as somebody who's living and breathing it, who's doing it every single day, and you've seen the expanse in China, like, for companies in the West who might be tuning in thinking, it's not really for me. Like, I don't need to create content. I don't need to do any of this stuff. I'm quite happy where I am. Like, what have you seen in China which has kind of changed the landscape for business with this digital revolution? Like, what advice could you give to companies in the West?
I believe that right now in 2020, in China and perhaps in the rest of the world, you are what you publish. If you publish good stuff, you're good. You publish bad stuff, you're bad. You publish nothing, you're nothing. So the question of whether content is necessary, it is necessary. If you're not going to talk about yourself, if you're not going to share what you know, if you're not going to go about and educate the market, either nobody will, or somebody will, but telling the story that you don't want to be told exactly in the words that you want to be told. So we all have this opportunity to be our own channel, and there is power in it. At the end of the day, especially when we talk about, let's say B2B businesses, the best marketing is teaching. So go out there and teach others how can they be successful. Give them your best tips, the best insights, and share it all for free in quick, digestible kind of bites. That is so valuable. If you're an entrepreneur, don't need to invent content, just document your journey. That's what Gary Vee talks about all the time. Documenting your journey, because it is so valuable. People learn from other experiences, and you will slowly and gradually, build your tribe and have people following you, because the like attracts the like. You will definitely, doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter whether you're baking or playing tennis or talking about marketing in China, there will be people out there, out of 8 billion people in the world, that are interested in your content, in your delivery, and you, with this unique energy, will be able to bring them a lot of value. When it comes to B2C, everything that you have is content and connection with people. Because when I use this product, it's not about the product itself, it's my daily experience with the product. It's an ongoing conversation. People right now don't buy products, they buy stories. You cannot compete on the product itself. You buy story, you buy the feeling about yourself. So you as a marketer cannot shout at people and throw advertising. And I mean, this is just so unnatural. And right now you have an opportunity to have this discussion. So your social media is the way to bring human back into the brand. Nobody wants to do business with brands or with companies. Everybody wants to do business with other human beings. So by creating that content and being social and being building a community, you are truly bringing back the personality and this personal touch. And this is the power of it. And that is why we see in China, there's so many beautiful examples. I mean, the world's most followed bloggers are in China. The world's most earning bloggers, the bloggers that sell the most, yeah, they are totally crazy. They're phenomenal entrepreneurs. They are in China. The most innovative social media platforms or social commerce platforms, they're coming from China because they got it from early on. Before you sell, build a community. Like in China, you cannot start selling. You cannot just walk in with this pen and start, okay, I want to sell these pens. Either these pens are so much in demand because something happened somewhere in China or outside of China. They're so in demand that people just want it because a blogger shared it or whatever. Or you first build a community of people that want it, and then you start basically selling it and doing business. So in China, they got this idea early on, and they started building those incubators for bloggers, where you teach people how to be good on camera, how to speak, how to sell, how to market, how to be entertaining and educational and expert, etc., etc. And they created those MCNs, multi-channel networks, where they promote the bloggers and build them up, and then essentially brands can come to them and do business together. They started creating platforms that are not just focusing on content by content like a timeline, but that focus on short video series. For instance, Toutiao is one of them, where people, not just like on Douyin, record short, silly videos, but they record a video which is about 1 to 1.5 minutes long, and then it goes over a series of 10 or 15 videos where they tell a story, and people love watching that. So this relationship, this demand for content, this feedback that people are giving brands, which is very valuable. A lot of products in China have been innovated because the users are giving brands ideas. What kind of products do they want, or what other features would they want? A lot of data, again, is being collected, let's say, by platforms, and then they cooperate together with brands to add some ingredients onto skincare or onto your favorite cereal, etc. So it's such a beautiful combination. But to answer your question simply, is content important? What are the examples? There's nothing more important in China right now than social media marketing. At the core of social media marketing is obviously content. And what is above content is context, meaning you need to stay on top of what's happening in terms of hot topics and the consumer sentiment. And everything and everyone in the China market, when it comes to sales and marketing and branding, be it e-commerce platforms or social media platforms or whatever, they start developing very strongly their communication functionality, and essentially becoming a merger between whatever they were before and social media, because of the content and context that is always at the heart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's amazing stuff. We've got a couple of comments that have just come in as well, just on the back of that conversation. Madassa, welcome to the stream. He was just discussing there, just saying, document your journey is a great thing. You know, that journey that sells, that really works. And also he's put, thank you. He's learning so much. So thank you so much for that, Ashley. I'm also learning a lot. And it's born out of a gut feeling that I've got. And this is why we set up Fresh Movement. And then since then, we've connected with people like yourself, and like you mentioned, Gary Vee. There's so many thought leaders out there, I suppose, who champion this like thought. And it's not done out of a place that we want to just kind of sell our own product. It's done because this is reality. Like, this is the thing that we try so hard to land with clients and people when we speak to. Like, we're not saying this. We didn't create Fresh Friday to blow smoke up our ass, excuse my French. We created it because we generally care about other businesses. And if we don't start listening, you're going to be left behind. That is my honest opinion about this stuff. Like, do you share that sentiment? Do you think companies are going to be shocked with the change which will undoubtedly happen at some stage?
I think the world's biggest companies understand what's happening. I think a lot of smaller companies are in total denial. And I think a lot of small, tiny little companies, they think that they do not have resources or time or focus or whatever to do that. So definitely there will be companies shocked. There will be companies disrupted. There will be, there will be that wave coming, their way in Asia or, in the rest of the world as well, just at a different time. So for sure, I share that sentiment, and there's no escape. If you don't do thought leadership right now, if you don't create, if it's B2B, then it's thought leadership. If it's B2C, content and conversations with your customers and building communities. If you don't do that right now, your long-term success for your business is a big question mark. When it comes to B2B, people only do business with those they know, like, and trust. And they can only, in the future, more and more know you, like you, and trust you if you are consistently showing up through social platforms. And if you're in B2C, you need to understand one pure business. Maybe you feel that right now it's all bluff and, two marketing people talking, but you need to understand some business sense. Advertising in China already is a lot more expensive than it is in the UK and the US. So that is inevitably going to happen at one point in, your respective markets. What does that mean? That means every time I advertise and I make a sale, I sell this pen, I'm actually making a loss. So I sell and I'm making a loss, negative ROI. But how do I have a viable business model? Like, how is this going to work out financially? Only if the person is purchasing from me for the second or third time, that's when I'm making money. So in China right now, the hottest keyword is all about building your private pools and private traffic and key opinion consumers, KOCs. So what are those concepts? This is a concept of taking customer one by one and adding them into your private kind of pool or private group, be it on WeChat, be it on, Ali, Tmall, be it on, any other platform, Douyin, etc. And through this group, you can communicate with them one-on-one. You can communicate with them one-to-many. You can build a relationship with them because you both, like, think about Facebook, you add each other with this salesperson from the brand and yourself, and you see each other's timelines, and you kind of get used to this person. And whenever you need to purchase something, you reach out to this person directly. So all that seems very far away in the rest of the world, but it is a reality in China. In China, every time you make a sale through live streaming, which is very popular in China right now, and people go like, oh my God, they sold for 100 million RMB. You know how much they spend to advertise, to hire a blogger, to set everything up? A lot more than that. So yes, they made a sale, but most of the times it is in order to capture the database, to capture the users into their private pool. And their real profit is going to come only after the second, or very often even third purchase. So in the rest of the world, we're still a little bit relaxed because advertising is cheaper, bloggers are slightly cheaper, and there are still some products that can perform on a positive ROI. Wait a couple of years. And believe me, the cheapest time to build a community, any community in any country, is right now, because tomorrow it's only going to be more expensive. So now is the time to start building that community if you haven't started yet. And now is the time to think about the future, long-term future of your business, be it B2B or B2C.
It's so true. And the thing that I'm hearing loud and clear is if we're gonna go West versus East, East is literally kicking our ass with strategy. Literally kicking our ass with strategy. And it's that mentality piece. Not about the sale, it's about the longevity of the community. It's the forward thinking, like not what's going to transact right now. Don't worry about that. It's what's going to happen in the next 3 to 5 years. You need to consider this, people. Like, you have to consider it. Like, strategy always beats tactics. This was a great quote by another guest we had on recently, Mr. Andy Starr, and that really sings in my ears about what's happening in China, what you guys and what the rest of the Asia and the East is kind of really homing in on. Build an empire, like build it properly. Take your time. Don't worry about the transactional sale of a pen. Worry about your community, because that is where the true value is.
And this is what you're, exactly as you said, long-term success comes from there. And don't misunderstand me. China has their problems. There's a lot of fake followers. There's a lot of fake bloggers. There's a lot of, stuff going on online, just like in the rest of the world, which is not, not contributing the right way to all these trends. But majority of companies that are smart about it, that are going to stay alive, they are playing a long game. And also remember that Chinese are very pragmatic people. So none of them is doing it just because they like it or because they want to build a community and because they are so, fluffy and wonderful. Chinese are very pragmatic. So it's all about business. It's all about making the most in the long run. And sometimes that long run can be in half a year. Sometimes you can start making money in 1.5 years. Sometimes you start making money like with Alibaba, in 5 to 10 years. So, and there are some companies in the West that been in existence for 15 years and they still have not turned a single, profitable dollar, but we still keep believing in them. So it's really about knowing the strategy, knowing where you're going, and acting on it. Chinese are pragmatic, and if they are doing it, there's definitely a business reason behind it.
Yeah, 100%. And we see that. We know that. It is about people rolling the sleeves up and acting on it as well. Once you see it, go for it, because the time is now. And I hear that loud and clear, and we see that as well. I know we're close to time here, Ashley. Just very quickly, you did touch on live stream earlier. I know the phenomenon which is live stream, especially in China, that is a parallel world. I've seen the rows of people doing live stream selling. I suppose to make it quite clear and simple for people who are watching, obviously they're watching a live stream now or they're watching it on replay. What's the value there for business? What's the big key takeaway for companies who may have not live streamed before? Like, what's the thing for you that you can help them understand the importance of that?
So live stream has been in China for the past 2 years. It's not new. And as you said, in the rest of the world, we also have live streams. And somebody speaking a couple of days ago told me that they've been doing live streaming 8 years ago on Google Hangouts. And I was like, okay, well, you guys are way ahead. But that time it was very crude kind of technology and nobody really wanted to be part of it. In China, e-commerce live streaming, 2 years old plus. We have 200 plus platforms, and this COVID-19, while live streaming was big before, but this COVID-19 just accelerated it to, speed of light. It's truly the speed of light. And right now, the most popular sales training in China, in fact, is to train your sales staff how to live stream properly, because a lot of their B2C and B2B sales are going to be happening online. And it's not enough to be an ordinary salesperson. In order to sell via live stream, you need to be well versed in light, in how to communicate, what are the things that you need to repeat. You need to know how to use all these apps. You need to know how to maintain the excitement, throughout, let's say, 1 hour live stream. You need to be giving them gifts, etc., etc. So this is one of the also most in-demand qualities that and qualifications that people are looking in salespeople for their whatever jobs, B2B again or B2C. So when it comes to what can you tell us about live streaming that's different or that's important? Live streaming is definitely going to come to the West, probably in another 1 to 2 to 3 years, and this is definitely going to be the new form of communication and selling. And we need to be prepared to be silly, because on live stream you cannot sell unless you are human, and that is why you cannot be only professional, only stand there like you're on BBC or CNN. So you need to be prepared to be a little bit silly or entertaining, let's call it that. You need to be obviously knowledgeable. You need to be an expert in what you do. That's what a lot of salespeople are required to become an expert before they can actually sell. It's all about consistency. So when the rest of the world outside of China will either be in so much trouble that they will be pushed to go that direction, or they will learn from this inspiration, here in Asia. Your three biggest steps are: when you do a live stream, do it consistently. Do it from the entertaining standpoint, and of course make sure that you are an expert and you are educating people. Sales will come, and you will start again building your community. How will it work? Each of your salespeople will have their own private group that they are building, like their own little private pool, but it's all connected to the company private pool. So for example, if my salesperson A leaves, I can substitute another person, and that person can take over their pool. Essentially, these are the company's assets. And every time you want to reach these people, you don't need to pay a lot of money to bloggers or somebody else. You just pay small transactional fees to the platform. But this is your private pool of, selling and communicating. If it is a B2B event, for instance, we've seen that in China earlier this year when there were expos with very few people in due to COVID, but everybody literally with these light rings standing and live streaming them, speaking with their B2B customers, explaining them, the little plastic raw materials, or talking about car spare parts or whatever they were selling. And they also live stream some of conversations between, experts or some walk-ins. So even to B2B world, this is definitely coming. So be prepared.
Solid advice. Just before you go, Ashley, I'd just like to obviously say thank you. But also, how can people find you? Obviously, you've got your books. We can put the links in. And you've obviously got your social media platform. So what's the best thing that people can check out to learn more about everything you've just discussed?
Absolutely. So guys, feel free to connect on LinkedIn. It's at Ashley Galina Todorunok. You can also check out my personal website, which is ashleytodorunok.com. And there you will find information about the books, about the companies that I run, about my social media platforms, about the topics that I specifically focus on, and definitely stay in touch and say hi.
Yeah, we'll drop that in the links in the comments as well. So anybody wants to do that, we'll make it as easy as possible. Ashley, thank you so much for joining us. Please, would you join us again for this? Because we've got season 2 in the making, and we think there's more to discuss. Would you be up for that at some stage?
Yeah, sure. Get in touch and tell me when is season 2, and we're going to schedule something in.
I always do it in this way because it's just people struggle to say no. So I do apologize.
He got commitment on air.
Got the sale. Ashley, we won't keep you any longer. We know we're just over time here, but thank you so much. Keep in touch and keep doing what you're doing, because we're big fans. And we'll speak to you again soon.
Thank you so much, Gareth. Thank you.
Oh, Liam, are you jumping back in?
I'm not going to lie.
There he is. You look sweaty.
Dude, that was insane. That was my favorite one. I'm saying it now. That's my favorite one.
Whoa!
I don't care.
To spin.
That was my favorite one, because the thing is, it just fills me with so much joy to hear someone say stuff like that. Like, especially like around community, like around live stream. Oh man, I was fired up. I was shaking. I was clapping at my screen. I nearly interjected. I nearly come over like the voice going, Ashley, that was amazing. But I was like, I won't do that. But man.
I imagine, I suppose, like, this is one of them where we could have both, hopefully, in the future, we'll both be on, because there's so much stuff. There is so much to unpack. I myself am going to be rewatching this stream. Madassa has just said incredible. Thank you, Madassa. And to be honest, mate, you've jumped on at the time and you've got this information ahead of most of the people, because as the time is what it is, we've not had loads of people jumped on live, but share this out. If you're watching this on replay, please share it out, because the amount of content and the amount of information and value within that live stream right there was epic. And I
That
think
is
for,
like,
as,
it's like thousands of pounds of advice for free, right? Like,
yeah.
there's businesses that we speak to, and that is proof. That is, it's unreal. I get so excited. Like, it's just, you got the golden ticket right there. All aboard.
Golden note. Choo choo. Get on the Fresh Movement Express, people. Jump on board. And I see eye to eye. I understand some of the hesitations businesses have. Everyone does. We ourselves have had these conversations very recently. Like, where we putting our marketing dollars, pounds? Where we going to invest this? How do you grow your business? And you've got to take these punts, because, as Ashley said, build community before you sell your product. It is the long-term strategy. It is the one that is coming. And if you realize that now, you will be in such a strong position in the years to come. So act on it. Do it. Do it.
Well, that's season one.
That is season one in the bag. So thank you for everyone for tuning in. It has been an epic 10 episodes. So if you are tuning in on this one, go and check the other ones out. We do have some highlights, which we will share. So leave that with us and our editing team. We will we'll pull together some of the highlights of the season. And Liam's already put his cards in. You're saying that's your number one?
That was my favorite one. That was my favorite one. Because it's about socials. Like, it's more. I really like socials.
Yeah,
so
I get it. And to be honest, I think I'm there as well. I think we finished on a high. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it too. Let us know in the comments if you have tuned in to our previous episodes. Which was your favorite? We've done 10 in total, so go and check them out. It's not the end, is it? It's not the end.
It is not. It is the. We've already had some ideas on what season 2 looks like. And it looks fiery.
Oh,
it looks fiery.
Madassa said he's on fire, so be prepared for season 2, mate. We don't know when it's gonna be. We're gonna ask you guys. We're gonna put a few questionnaires out, maybe a few polls, find out what you want to know, because this is as much about you as it is us. Because this is what it's all about. Do you know what I mean? So look out for any announcements when we do make them, and please let us know. Tweet us on our personal channels. Get in touch at Fresh Movement, and myself, Liam, and the rest of the team will come up with a strategy, because strategy wins, for the next season. And we will be bigger, better, and on fire more than before.
Indeed. Right. Thank you so much for tuning in so early on a Friday for once. And we shall see you for season 2.
Keep it.